Let's go make a killing.
All right.
Welcome to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
10 to the 5 to the 4, play one, touchdown!
The sharpest football contest show in the land.
I'll take the action. My Birds, Benjamin Franklin's team, favored by 1.5 points. I'll give you 3 more.
You're now riding shotgun with 2 former contest winners in Brady, Kannon and James Salinas. And getting a former player's perspective with 9-year NFL veteran Mike Pritchard.
Let's go!
As they guide you through strategy, process, and your contest picks each and every week of the season.
I do like the idea of a parlay.
Now here's your host, Brady Kannon.
Season 2, Week 5, Episode 7. Boy, it is off to a crazy start. Welcome back to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and the Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Brady Kannon, Mike Pritchard, and James Salinas with you. And the Survivor carnage has kicked in here in Week 5 as the Los Angeles Rams fall to the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday Night Football. Estimates anywhere from 19 to over 30% of the entries in this game eliminated after that loss, as anywhere from 7.5 to 9-point favorites were the Los Angeles Rams. 12,404 entries remained heading into this week. We will see how many are left after that Thursday night massacre in Los Angeles. The 49ers win by a final in overtime, 26-23. Over 32%, 32.5% of the SuperContest Survivor contest was eliminated with the Rams. 26 of the remaining 80 entries go by the wayside there on the Los Angeles Rams. We still have 2 live entries remaining thanks to the Denver Broncos last week. No thanks to the Chargers. We lost with that one in their loss at the New York Giants. Circa Sports Million and the SuperContest. The carnage continues in the Against the Spread contest. The consensus 9-30-1. If you're fading the consensus, you're hitting at a 70% clip. We have 9 points out of a possible 20. We're a game under 500, but we remain, because of how poorly the consensus is doing, we remain well above average. SuperContest College Vintage Picks moves into the lead. 25 out of a possible 35 points, hitting at 71%. Gentlemen, welcome back in. We have another London contest, a second straight week for the Minnesota Vikings across the pond. They shift from Ireland to London, and they will welcome the Cleveland Browns to town. Carson Wentz at the helm again. J.J. McCarthy not expected to quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, but Dylan Gabriel inserted for the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco assigned to the bench, and actually now the backup, Shedeur Sanders, still in the 3rd position as far as the quarterback depth chart for the Cleveland Browns. James, I know you typically don't feel real comfortable playing London games. What about this one this week?
Well, I'm thinking about where the Vikings have been. They've been overseas for the last couple of weeks because they were in Dublin last week, losing to the Steelers in round 1 of the international series that the NFL loves to promote their brand out there. And yeah, I think this is where typically I'd want to take Minnesota. I'd want to go. We know that we're going to see a ton of different looks from defensive coordinator Flores there with the Minnesota Vikings, but they're really shorthanded at the linebacker position. And then it's the other side for me. That's the big concern. Starting at the offensive line, down 3 starters at the offensive line. They're down to seeds and stems with their center position because I think both centers, not only for Ryan Kelly, but Juergens is going to be out for this game too. So I don't know who's going to have to shift over to be that emergency center for Carson Wentz. And enough said right there, Carson Wentz. I don't need to spend too much time. We know the history of Carson Wentz. But Pritch on the other side with the Browns, we love the defense. We love the front. But now with Dylan Gabriel as a rookie coming in to have to face all these different looks that we're going to see from Minnesota. Yes, he's a smallish quarterback, a rookie in this sense, but I think at this point, what we've seen from Flacco for the first 4 weeks, it was only a matter of time before Flacco found the bench, which he did coming into this matchup. But is this a point where for Cleveland, there's nowhere else to go but up at the quarterback spot with Flacco now on the bench?
Well, I mean, you still can go down. I mean, we don't know what Dylan Gabriel is going to be in the National Football League. You know, on top of that, too, when I look at these type of games, guys, we have this perception, or a lot of people do, that Cleveland's going to be working with an entire field defensively. You know, like the opponent's offense is going to start in their own territory. But what if Dylan Gabriel turns the ball over? What if he makes a ton of mistakes? What if there's turnovers? all of a sudden that great defense might be in their own territory trying to prevent points. And so sudden change is a big part of football. And I love Cleveland's defense. I really do. I mean, there's some tremendous players on that side of the ball. But from an entire organizational standpoint, going overseas with a losing mentality and losing culture, and now you're still in preseason because you don't have a quarterback. This is a game, Brady, that I don't want anything to do with.
Yeah, I would have to side with the good defense here. And like you guys allude to, it can't get any worse than Joe Flacco running that offense. And that's what the scare is. If Dylan Gabriel starts turning it over, you're in trouble. But, I would lean towards betting against Carson Wentz facing that Browns defense. We'll see if we land on that one or not. The next game in Carolina, and the Panthers are a 1-point underdog with the Miami Dolphins coming to town. Miami coming off of a win on Monday Night Football over the Jets. And situational trend here for me that I think makes a lot of sense. And that's 1 and 3 teams off of a loss facing a team coming off of a win cover over 60% of the time. And I think that's perception in the market. The Panthers are perceived as a really bad team, and maybe they are. They're 1 and 3 off of a loss. Miami comes in off of a win. They're not very good either, and yet they're in the role of road favorite. So I think the line is a little bit skewed here. We'll see where this thing closes, but it feels situationally, James, like this is a good spot for the Panthers.
And I'm not a big trends guy, Brady, but I can think of a trend. I'll date myself, but an old betting trend from back in the day when the big game used to be Monday Night Football. I think early now it's Sunday Night Football is really the bigger marquee game of the week each week. But it used to be win on Monday night and then travel. And that's exactly what we've got here with the Miami Dolphins. And not only traveling to lowly Carolina, but it's a non-conference game here. They have the Chargers on deck next week. Not really saying this is a big sandwich spot here, but I don't like Miami. I think it was an ugly game to watch. It was on one of the side TVs that I had with the doubleheader going on Monday night last week with the main screen having the Broncos and the Bengals on that game. But I'm really thinking about where is Miami. It's been a soft football team for quite a while. That's the culture down there that McDaniels has kind of created. And now you're not going to have Tyreek Hill either, Pritch, and not having Tyreek Hill out there. I would think you talked about the bigger field and the way that especially what you got to defend for when you have a Miami team that has speed with Waddle and now Tyreek Hill, but no longer out there to be able to stretch that field. What does that do for this defense for Carolina? Because I think I'm with you, Brady. Trends aside, I like the matchup here more so with Carolina playing at home. The last time we saw them play at home, they pitched a shutout against the division rival Falcons last time we saw them out, Pritch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's familiarity, right? And that's the team that feels confident about knowing their opponent. Without Tyreek Hill, all of a sudden defensively, you don't have to focus on Cheetah. You don't have to do anything like that in terms of trying to, okay, do I have to cater my defense to find Cheetah on the field? You don't have to do that. Now I think you can play more conventional on what you're used to playing as a defense. The only thing that I'm nervous about with Carolina is their hierarchy. Like, I don't know much about Canales in terms of can he figure it out? And then I certainly don't know much about Dan Morgan as a GM. Can they figure it out either? Now, the players on the field have to decide it. This is a great opportunity to get a win. And I think if you're at home, if you're the Panthers as a player, that's what I'm thinking. This is a great opportunity for us to get a win against a team like Miami that's trying to figure it out still too. So I can see there, we're looking at the card right there with the Panthers. It's pretty much a pick 'em game. And I think the momentum should be with the Panthers in this one.
Mike, before we go to break here, I want to touch on the next contest, and that is in New York, where the Dallas Cowboys have been installed as a road favorite, laying 2.5 points at the Jets. The Jets are struggling. They were the losing side on that Monday night game we talked about with Miami. Aaron Glenn says they've had their best week of practice so far of the season. What do you think of this one? Do you have the stones to lay points with a defense like Dallas?
No, to me, I don't. I mean, Dallas, not only that, Brady, Dallas, they're 65-35. They're damn near 70-30 when it comes to play selection, meaning they're favoring the pass. So the run game always travels in the National Football League if you have a good one. And the Dallas Cowboys, they just don't have a good running game at this point.
All right, when we come back, we dive into the Colts and the Raiders. We were on the Raiders last week, and they burned us. We'll be back with more in just a moment. This is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
When the football contest crew isn't busy dominating the field and making plays that leave opponents in the dust, they're doing something just as exciting. They're playing My Vegas Slots. It's a top-ranked, free-to-play mobile app that lets you earn valuable real-world rewards from amazing partners like MGM Grand, Bellagio, and Norwegian Cruise Line. You can score hotel stays, great meals, show tickets, and more just for playing. Download My Vegas Slots today from your favorite app store. And if you're anything like Brady, James, and Mike, we know you're going to love it. That's a winning play you won't want to miss.
Want to gamble like the pros? At LasVegasAdvisor.com, you'll find the world's best how-to books, software, and strategy cards featuring blackjack, poker, video poker, and of course, sports betting, including the Stanford Wong Classic Sharp Sports Betting. Don't forget LVA's Member Rewards coupon book, offering discounts on dining and entertainment, including a buy one, get one for the awesome lobster buffet at the Palms, and more than $700 in gambling free play, match play, and bonus offers. Up your gambling game today at LasVegasAdvisor.com.
Welcome back into the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, presented by Circa Sports and the Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Brady, Kannon, Mike Pritchard, and James Salinas with you. Going across the games from an against the spread perspective. Coming up, we will touch on Circa Survivor and SuperContest Survivor momentarily. We have landed on the Colts in Indianapolis hosting the Las Vegas Raiders, and they're laying 6.5 in the SuperContest, 7 in the Circa Sports Million. They come off of a tough loss to the Los Angeles Rams last week. And speaking of tough losses for us and the Raiders, a blocked field goal as time expires here at Allegiant Stadium. Mike, what do you do with this one here in Indy?
Well, Brady, I think at the beginning of the year, coming into the season, I always do this, who's going to be the outlier thing in the National Football League? Who's going to surprise people along the way? And the Colts landed on my radar in that regard, but now they're on everybody's radar. So you look at this number, and it's kind of crazy to think that, okay, where the Colts coming from? Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones, and now this guy has really energized his football team. I think a lot of things have happened since the passing of Irsay, but the structure of that team has remained sound. I mean, they changed defensive coordinators. Rumo's in there now, and those guys are flying around. They've always had decent weapons, I believe, too. It's just that quarterback situation has now that has been resolved. So you got the Raiders coming into town, and they're not saying this, but Brock Bowers is, I think, more injured than they want to lead us to believe. And I know he's out there in uniform, but he's just not the same type of player he has been. And they don't have a lot of impactful guys on that side of the ball. Now, Genty looks like he's coming on. They maybe found some things in a running game, but that was against Chicago. That's not against Indy on the road in that environment. So I like the Colts in this matchup. The only question I would have is the point spread. But, the Raiders, they can't score in the red zone. And then I'll say this about Geno. It's been my private thoughts, James. But that guy has been in the league a long time. When he's around guys that are not those premier players, then Geno is a backup quarterback. But when he's around a DK Metcalf, or if he's around a really, really good running game, or if he's around a complement of receivers like he had up in Seattle, for instance, for a few years with DK and Lockett, and then a young Smith and Jigba, he can elevate his game more, or they elevate his game. So he doesn't have the complementary superstars around him to elevate him. So I think he's going the other way, or he's just average at this point. So I'm more confident about the Colts at home. I think they're reeling off a loss that they'll correct some things, but certainly get back on the right track in a winning way right there in Indy.
Usually, Pritch, for me, and you guys know this, we've been doing this a long time together, not just this show, but just betting football for a long time. I'm really a dog player. Rarely do I step out and lay any numbers more than a field goal. But in this case here, there's only one way I can see it, and it's the Colts. I know it's 6.5 in the SuperContest, and it's -7 in Circa. I think we lay it in both, and that's what I'm advocating for. I can't see it on this other side. You mentioned Geno Smith, and I think not only with the lack of talent around him, now Colton Miller, their best offensive lineman, really their only offensive lineman, is not going to play. He's out with a high ankle sprain. They don't have a running game there. I think that's what really helped Geno up in Seattle didn't have a great offensive line up there either, but the running game really took a lot of pressure off of him and really opened up a lot of opportunities to throw to those quality receivers that they have in Seattle, which are not there with the Raiders. And on the other side here, the running game for the Colts, I think they're able to dominate the ball, keep time of possession. The plays start to stack up on the Raiders, and this one starts to get away in the second half. So I'm down with that. With the Colts side, I think we lay it in both those contests at the 6.5 and the 7. And it's really, I think, for me, that running game that really starts to establish and break the Raiders' spirit in that second half. Speaking of running games, Brady, let's debate and talk about this Broncos-Eagles game. And thinking about where the Eagles are coming off, last week really thought that was a game that they had circled coming into the season, playing at Tampa, because they got smoked down in Tampa last season in week 4. And at least they played for the first half like it. They were clearly the more motivated team in that first half playing the Bucs, and were able to extract a little redemption from their pasting from last year down in Tampa. But now it's a different animal that they're facing in this Broncos defense. And I'm not a Bo Nix supporter. I need to see it, and I keep seeing it each and every week. The nickname here in Denver is Bo Picks rather than Bo Nix. We saw another one last week in the end zone against Cincinnati, forcing the ball again and putting their defense at task to have to make plays. But that's why Denver's been competitive the last couple of years, especially on the road, is because of that defense. And I think they actually match up really well with this Philadelphia Eagles. We haven't seen it offensively, especially in the passing game, really limited passing the football all season long. But we've clipped for the CLV crowd out there. We've missed the best number, right? It opened at 5.5 in the contest. It was down to 3.5. So as far as the best of it, we're not getting it, Brady. Where do you think with this, not only from the standpoint of where the number is, but also with the matchup?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. The wise guys grabbed those 5.5s. They grabbed the 4.5s. There's still a couple 4s or 4.5s out there, but basically 3.5 across the board. You are still getting the hook. I think we all agree that these are two very good defenses. Denver may be the better of the two, but you have Vic Fangio there running the show in Philadelphia. Of course, a former Denver Bronco coach who was fired. He'll probably have a little something extra for this game. And if defense is going to dominate here, then points will be at a premium. And I lean with the dog here. Philadelphia, is the defending Super Bowl champion in the minds of, I think, the masses. They're a juggernaut, but really they have not been this year. They've been outgained in every game they've played so far this year. Denver, I'm with you, James. Bo Nix I don't have a ton of confidence in him. I do have a lot of confidence in this defense. I think we have a very good game here on our hands. And Philly, it's hard to bet against them too, because we were on them against them with the Rams a couple weeks ago, and they pull a miracle out of their hat and cover against Los Angeles. You could see something crazy like that happening again in this contest. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, Philly coming out of second half, because I'm an adjustment guy. There's one thing about having a game plan at the beginning of the game, and then all of a sudden that game plan's not working or is working. The other team makes adjustments. Can you make adjustments? And Philly, they can run the football. We know that. It's not as explosive as it was last year. And Denver knows that. If we can stop Saquon, and that's what teams are trying to do, right? If we can control Saquon, not give up the big run, an explosive play that way, now they have to be explosive in the air. And as we know in the league, Philly's struggling throwing the football at this point. I think that favors Denver from the pass rush, how they get off the edges, a tremendous pass rush that they have right there. And then they also feel pretty confident. Surtain can mirror wherever A.J. Green goes, right? A.J. Brown goes. So I like the matchup for Denver right there on the road.
When we come back, we look at the Giants game and also the Ravens game right here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Las Vegas isn't just a place to play, it's a great place to live. Louis Payon with Magenta Real Estate is a trusted 5-star real estate professional who's called Vegas home for over 3 decades. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, Louis will guide you every step of the way with proven strategies that deliver results. Call Louis today at 702-849-7160. That's 702-849-7160. Louis Payon is the official realtor of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Jackson Dart made his NFL debut in Week 4. He wasn't great, but he was good enough to get the victory, the first win for the New York Giants of the season. They beat the Los Angeles Chargers, took one of our entries out of Circa Survivor. Now Dart and company go on the road to New Orleans. The Saints, competitive in their loss to the Buffalo Bills, they are still seeking their first victory on the season. And James, they're favored here, a short favorite in New Orleans, welcoming the Giants to town.
Well, we got the rookie now going on the road and having to play in the Superdome, although I don't think this is the same Superdome we're accustomed to when it comes to the challenge for visiting teams to have to go into that environment. It's just New Orleans has been bad for quite a while now, so I just don't see the luster there or lack thereof from the fans coming into this matchup. But I think from the Giants, yes, Jackson Dart shot in the arm last week as the rookie coming in, replacing Russell Wilson, kind of similar to what we saw with Cleveland going on now. Get those veterans in there to kind of just take some punches for the first month of the season and then install your rookie to be able to move forward this season. But I think here for the Giants, I don't like their offensive line. Offensive lines do not travel well. Bad ones do not travel well on the road. But I think the defensive line shows up. That's what really won the football game for the Giants last week, was absolutely dominating the line of scrimmage against the Chargers. And I know that Chargers offensive line was already a little porous coming into that matchup with New York last week, but then losing Joe Alt early really made them have to reshuffle, and Justin Herbert took a beating. And that's the best unit on the field. I think, Pritch, that's the best unit on this field on either side of the football for both of these teams, is this Giants defensive front going against a really bad and now injured offensive line for the Saints. Are you interested in taking the rookie on the road with that defensive line for the Giants to have to go down to New Orleans and get 2 wins in a row?
Yeah, you know what, James? I couldn't even get on a teaser with the Giants on the road with the rookie Jackson Dart. I mean, this isn't about quarterbacks, in my opinion, because we know the Saints, they don't really have one. The Giants are trying to figure out what they got, but they have other issues on top of that as well. And this is all about the defenses. I mean, both teams, you think about the Saints and their schedule so far, they still have double-digit sacks. And then conversely, with the other side with the Giants defensively, they got after the Chargers, and the Chargers moved the ball between the 20s, but get inside the 20. They only got to the red zone one time in that game on the road against the Giants. So the Giants, to me, I mean, Daboll's got to get it going offensively. I don't know if he can. And it's just a tough game to play either way, Brady. But there's another game out there that's intriguing. If you think about Baltimore with Cooper Rush now, because Lamar Jackson is injured, I think Cooper Rush is going to add structure to this offense. We know Lamar Jackson became an MVP in this league because of off-schedule plays and how dynamic he can be. But he's lost a step this year, and now certainly he's not going to be available. Baltimore has to get back to the bread and butter, running the football, but then that quick passing game and structured passing game with Cooper Rush as a pocket passer, that could be a remedy for the Baltimore Ravens here against Houston. So I'm intrigued by this matchup. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, you make a great point, Mike, and I think that may be what we see here, that, they're used to that unconventional Lamar runs the show, and it's a lot of improv. Now they kind of just have to get back to basics, fundamentals, give the ball to King Henry, and that might be the formula 100% here. I think Baltimore has a good chance to really come out and stomp the Houston Texans because they are up against it. And I talked about this trend earlier, 1-3 teams coming off of a loss, facing a team coming off of a win. I think it creates some disparity in the marketplace, a perception that is off, that is skewed. And maybe Baltimore is getting more points than they really should be here. I wouldn't be surprised by a valiant effort by the Ravens here. But it's a tough one, James, because they are so injured. You can't necessarily walk to the window with this one confidently.
That's the hard part for me, is it's the defensive side right now for Baltimore. I mean, we saw them on Monday night a couple weeks back against the Lions just absolutely get pushed around and dominated from a physical standpoint in that game. Not that Houston is capable of doing that. I think they have either them or it's between them and the Cincinnati Bengals as far as having the absolute worst offensive line in football. So I think they're going to struggle to score like they have done all season, but maybe there's some opportunities for CJ Stroud to be able to throw the football down the field against Baltimore. There's not much of a pass rush. You talked about the injuries. They're down 6 starters, potentially 7. Their best player on defense is Kyle Hamilton, the leader on that back end. He was limited on Wednesday with a groin injury and did not practice yesterday on Thursday. We'll see what his status is for today, but that could be potentially 7 players out as starters for the Baltimore Ravens. That gives me cause for concern. The other concern for me with playing Baltimore side is Houston has this game circled. If you remember last year, on Christmas morning, that's what they got to wake up to, was Baltimore coming in and running all over them. Jackson had a phenomenal game. They beat Houston and embarrassed them on Christmas morning at home, 31-2. I'm sure they've had this game circled for a little redemption as well, like we talked about Philadelphia and Tampa last week earlier. I think this is where, for me, too many injuries for the Baltimore side, too much motivation on Houston, no play for me.
James has been successful in mentioning games that have been circled. Last week with Philadelphia, maybe we go with Houston here. We talk Survivor next as we continue on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Want to enter the biggest and best football contests in Las Vegas? Look no further than footballcontest.com to get the info you need to succeed. Covering Circa Million, Circa Survivor, Grandissimo, and every super contest at the Westgate SuperBook. Reserve the most trusted proxy service in the business now at footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have been leaders in the industry for 20 years. They submit your picks while you focus on picking winners. Experience matters. Go with the pros at footballcontest.com and start winning now.
Welcome back into the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Brady Kannon, James Salinas, and Mike Pritchard with you. Check us out online, footballcontestshow.com. All the information you need there, our picks, where to get us as far as podcasts, YouTube, you name it, footballcontestshow.com. It is the Survivor portion of the show here, and people are eagerly awaiting to assess the damage that the Los Angeles Rams loss caused on Thursday night. Anywhere from 20 to over 30% of these fields decimated, eliminated with that loss. Very possibly, we saw over 32% eliminated in SuperContest Survivor. 26 of the remaining 80 entries were eliminated. They were on the Rams on Thursday night. Gentlemen, this will be a popular pick, maybe the most very popular pick. The Arizona Cardinals on extra rest hosting maybe the very worst team in the NFL, the Tennessee Titans, still looking for their first win. Mike, I'll start with you. Are you real confident going to the window with the Cardinals, however?
Confidence goes so far, especially when you can't control anything. And that's where we are with this contest, with Survivor, and with the Rams upset. I mean, publicly, okay, everybody's looking for the edges, and everybody's going to map out the season. So if you did land on the Rams, I mean, you had some confidence that, okay, Thursday, the Rams, short week, San Francisco's decimated with injuries. I feel pretty confident, even if we win by 1 point. I mean, it's Survivor, right? And then on top of that, if you look at home favorites, the 30-8, 78.9% on the year. And so you feel pretty good about that too. But then lo and behold, the Rams, they don't play well. They don't execute. They fumble the rock. They make mistakes. And that's the thing about teams. Like I see the Cardinals are favorite, and they're a heavy home favorite. And yeah, that looks attractive, right? But what are potential mistakes or pitfalls that could happen in this game? Can the Tennessee Titans rise to the occasion and really challenge the Cardinals and make things difficult? I go back to making adjustments throughout a football game. The Cardinals without Connor, that running game, it's something that they need to work on. And I think from a Kyler Murray standpoint, the questions about, is he a leader or not? Those things are kind of resurfacing too. But it is a competitive division. I mean, we see San Francisco and the Rams last night. Think about Seattle, and you think about how the Cardinals play inside that division. That division is very, very competitive. And so from a Tennessee standpoint, trying to get the victory on the road, so many issues right there. Yeah, I can feel confident in selecting the Cardinals for Survivor. And then also game theory too, right? Like, when are we going to use the Cardinals again? And we're down to a couple of entries now. And so we got to be diligent here about what our selections are. We can't just look at the heavy home favorite and just side with them. But no, James, it's a good spot for the Cardinals. I've said this before on our show. It's better to use the Cardinals early than later. And so it's still early enough in the season to kind of side with the Cardinals in this matchup.
Well, we started with 3 entries. We're down to 2. I think we split them, and this is one of them I think we do with the Cardinals. Not only from the scheduling standpoint and the best spot here, I don't see another looking through the remainder of their schedule. As far as home games are concerned, the other team's non-division games that they're hosting Green Bay. They're going to be hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are on the uptick right now. It's Atlanta, may be the best spot as far as other teams hosting outside of Tennessee, but that's not until week 16. So this is the best spot as far as the schedule is concerned, and more so because of the team that they're playing and the dysfunction that is there. We've seen it all season, but through this, it feels like it's been a whole season, and it's only been 4 weeks, Brady, of this team being so poorly coached. We saw it in week 1 when the Titans came into Denver, and Callahan, really, I think this is going to be the first coach fired. No doubt in my mind, he will be the first coach fired at some point this season. He didn't know the rules. He didn't know the challenge rules, for one. That's your job. It's a lot different than being a coordinator. When you're a coordinator, you're just focused on one side of the football and just your unit. As the head coach, a lot of responsibility when you're the big dog and not prepared for that, and has not been helping out rookie Cam Ward whatsoever. So many different play calls with him turning his back to the defense and just getting absolutely hammered up front. It's a bad offensive line. It's a banged up offensive line too, Brady. We saw that they got worked last week against Houston. I think the same thing happens here for the Cardinals. I don't know how the Titans get to anywhere close to maybe 10 points. That's about it. Cardinals should be able to put up 20 or more on this game. I think it's a one-way street. The Cardinals not only win this game, but we start to see a lot of rumors about Coach Callahan getting axed for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal there that the Cardinals have extra rest as well. This could be a nice get-right spot for them coming off of that loss on Thursday Night Football to the Seattle Seahawks. We have a big road favorite, and boy, it's not hard to figure. The Cincinnati Bengals looked absolutely awful. Thank God they did. That was a winner for us with the Denver Broncos in Survivor. But they are getting 10 points at home with the Detroit Lions coming to town. And guys, I think a lot of people are going to land on the Lions, because if you look at the holiday schedule, the Lions play on Thanksgiving and Christmas. But I don't know if you're going to land on them for either one of those holidays. Now, we can't forecast injuries and what's going to happen 5, 6, 8 weeks from now. But Mike, I definitely think you're going to see people look at this as a free square and land on Detroit despite the holiday schedule.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you got to survive, right? And you got to get there. And I think people, they want to factor in the holidays, but you got to get to the holidays too. And if you have multiple entries, and we know there's some syndicates out there, guys, people, they have a lot of selections. And this is one where, okay, maybe you can get a bulk of your selections through here with this game. I mean, the Lions, when you look at elite teams, you're talking about Buffalo, you're talking about the Lions. During the course of the season, that obviously changes because of injuries and everything. But the Lions, they got their mojo back. A lot of question marks about losing coordinators, but the culture hasn't changed. And James has been really big on culture. And so, I see that culture still emanating out of there, and really confident bunch of guys right now in that locker room know what they're doing. So I can see why people are going to select the Lions, and it's all about game theory too, right? I mean, maybe you sprinkle some on the Lions, maybe you sprinkle some with those home favorites, but this is going to be a really, really popular selection, I believe, this week.
Well, as far as Cincinnati, I was just talking about the Tennessee Titans and Callahan potentially being the first coach fired. Well, maybe it's Zach Taylor being the first coach fired. Probably not, just because he's got the crutch of not having Joe Burrow again as his starting quarterback. But really just a lifeless effort last week out of the Bengals on the road at Mile High, and kind of just gave up in that latter part of the fourth quarter, punting the ball away, just waving the white flag. Let's just get out of here. We're beat and we know it. But yeah, I think from the game theory spot, I don't want to play this game. We do need to have, even though may or may not be in a position where you want to use Detroit on Thanksgiving and or Christmas, at least having the option that they're in your pocket to be available. Who knows what it looks like down there with injuries and that kind of thing. But I think we have to have them in our pocket for that scenario because it is so challenging and because there are 3 teams that play on Thanksgiving that also play on Christmas Day, and that includes the Detroit Lions. So for me, we have to keep that team in pocket here, Brady. The other thing for Detroit is, this might be this is definitely, I feel like, one of those sandwich flat spots for them in this spot going on the road against the bad Cincinnati team. Coming up next, for the Lions, they play at Kansas City on Sunday Night Football next week and then host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. This looks like a scrimmage against the JV team. I think they bring that same type of energy in this game. I don't want to play it. Let's keep the Lions in our pocket.
One more game to get to, James, in the last 30 seconds or so here. And this is a big division favorite, the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football, hosting the New England Patriots. They're laying 7.5 or 8 points. We stayed away from the Bills last week because we felt this was going to be a good spot to use them this week.
I think for the Bills, potentially being able to split this with Arizona, looking at what's available for the Bills, as far as Circa Survivor, only 42% of the contest has the Bills in pocket ready to play. So they're going to have to go elsewhere. We're in a good advantageous spot with having 2 spots on the Bills going into this week.
All right. More of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show coming up next.
Looking for your next ultimate golf experience? Discover Valley High Golf Club, a tropical paradise on the Las Vegas Strip, featuring lush greenery, water features, Balinese tropical plants, white sand, and black volcanic rock, creating an enchanting atmosphere. Valley High creates a memorable golf experience for a typical foursome, a group celebrating a bachelor or bachelorette party, or your next corporate outing. It's award-winning golf on the Strip, Vegas style. Book your ultimate golf experience now at valleyhighgolfclub.com.
Steiner's, a Nevada-style pub, invites you to play the best keno and video poker in Las Vegas. Promos are how we roll, so make the most of your gaming dollars with ongoing promotions, daily free play, bonuses, and more. With a chance to win Knights, Raiders, Aviators tickets, and big money with all those jackpots. It's not only great gaming at Steiner's, it's the 24 awesome rotating draft beers and the best appetizers to match. Steiner's, the Nevada-style pub, with 3 locations across the Vegas Valley. Steiner's, I love this place.
It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Brady, Kannon, Mike Pritchard, and James Salinas with you, continuing our way through the card in Week 5 of the NFL season. And we have made our way to the late window, the Pacific Northwest, and the Seattle Seahawks hosting Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are coming off of a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Extra rest for Seattle. And I think a lot of people are a little surprised about this line. I thought it had to do with the fact that Mayfield is banged up. Of course, Bucky Irving not expected to play. But Mayfield looks like he will go, and the line has not adjusted, Mike. I think the odds makers really have a lot of respect for this Seattle team.
Yeah, and I agree with them because the Seattle team, not really an outlier. People were thinking that they were going to be rebuilding to get rid of Geno, but they might have upgraded quarterback. And Sam Darnold, I mean, I know his story, and a lot of people know his story, but when you're comfortable and you have talent, all of a sudden you start to see that. And we saw Sam Darnold get comfortable last year with Minnesota, and he's landed in a place where he seems comfortable again because Seattle has a running game. They have a dominant running game. They have a 1-2 punch, have running back, and they get after you physically. But more importantly, they play complementary football. And that's been impressive because McDonald's has certainly injected his expertise in that defense. And even though they've been banged up in some key injuries, they still have been doing solid play on that side of the ball from a defensive front standpoint, and even on the back end too. And they're one of those leading defenses in the league right now in a very competitive division. And then I look at what's transpired so far this year. And me, guys, I think the NFC South is an underachieving division. And when I look at the Buccaneers, they beat Atlanta barely last drive of the game. They beat the Jets, could have lost that game. And then they beat Houston. But then they got the brakes beat off of them a little bit and against Philadelphia there. So Now they go on a road and a step up in competition. If I got to hold true to my belief that that's an underachieving division, and I think the NFC West is the toughest division, and I got to side with Seattle and their attitude right now, and certainly the complementary football element of that football team, James. I mean, it's really impressive right now.
I think for Seattle playing at home, there are a few set stadiums that do host and have a home field advantage when it comes to the crowd impacting games. And I think the 12th man up there in Seattle will fit that that is the rare exception in the league nowadays from the wine and cheese crowd that we see as corporate is really taking over the NFL stadiums as far as good tickets are concerned. But here, Tampa, I mean, this is a team that's been fighting each and every week, but it has been a really physical. Again, watching Tampa, it feels like you see it's a double header in 4 quarters that we see with this team because it comes down to the wire each and every game. I know last week they really got hammered in the first half and dominated by a hungry Philadelphia Eagle team. But the first 3 weeks of the season came down to the wire, the last possession basically for Tampa in those games. And that takes a lot out of you, not only physically, but I think also emotionally, a lot of emotion because they came out on the right side. So flying with the highs, now the lows. But the bigger piece for me is the injuries like Brady mentioned for Tampa here. And that's the concern for me is just it's going to go on the road, tough environment here. You don't have Mike Evans. I think the big loss is Bucky Irving. What a sensational running back, not only out of the backfield, rushing the football, but catching the football. He had a big play last week, 70 some odd yard touchdown, catching the ball out of the backfield. So dynamic playmaker is not going to be on the field. The offensive line down 3 starters. I think Wirfs is back, but he's still working himself back into having been out for the year. So it's going to take some time, and that's going to be a tough spot to go into when you're talking about the crowd noise. I think we might see some with a makeshift offensive line for Tampa having to go in with the 12th man. I think we're going to see it. Definitely going to have to go on some silent counts, but I think we're going to see some Tampa Bay offensive possessions, Brady having to play behind the sticks due to some false starts and some issues up front because of that standpoint. I really do. I like Seattle here because they can rush the football and with that crowd noise behind them with a banged up offense here for the Tampa Bay Bucks. I do like Seattle in this spot too.
Well, I think it's very telling that this has not moved off of the 3.5. You know, you hate to lay 3.5, you hate to lay that hook, but the fact that it's still out there tells me that maybe the favorite is the right side here. James, you like the Chargers. Now, this one is on the other side of the key number of 3. The Chargers laying 2.5 in both contests. And guys, I got to believe this one will probably be pretty popular because the Chargers in the live market have moved to a 3-point favorite. And I think that was partially on the news that, you know, Deebo Samuel, not sure if he's going to go. We know Terry McLaurin is out. Jaden Daniels will be back, but the injury is starting to pile up, James, for the Commanders.
Well, and it's the defense that has the bigger concern for me. Yeah, offensively, there's issues for Washington, but it's more so the defense. As I was reading some of the news and notes for each team over the last couple days, I thought it was interesting that the defense for Washington, their pass defense in particular, has given up the most, they call them explosive plays, passes of over 15 yards, the most in the NFL. They've given up 28 of those so far. And you look at who Washington has played, not stellar offensive teams by any means, talking about the Giants, Green Bay, that's more of a rushing team than a deep down. That's probably the best team that they've played as far as the passing game is concerned. That was on a short week, but playing the Raiders and then at Atlanta and Penix doesn't really scare you. So the fact that they've been giving up so many plays in the passing game, now with Justin Herbert, I know that offensive line is banged up for the Chargers here, Pritch, but I think this is a matchup where they are going to be able to take advantage of. Really, there's not much of a pass rush there with Washington. You talk about a porous secondary. I think there's opportunities for Herbert and this Chargers team to get that taste out of their mouth from last week in New York and being able to find the taste of victory coming back here in Los Angeles against a bad defense for Washington. I do like the Chargers in the spot.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers had a chance to win that game last week, didn't get the job done. So you come back home and you kind of regroup. But I think the Chargers also found out some things about themselves in terms of how physical they can be and how they can run the football. Some explosive plays against that Giants defense on the road. So you get back home, you help out Herbert, who's having a fine year so far throwing a football. And I think it's telling, too, guys, that Daniels is going to be back, but yet the line still goes to the Chargers. So Washington and a sophomore season with Daniels everything around him is so new and inconsistent, and he's in his sophomore year. So going on a road against a really good team, that's some tough work right there for the Commanders.
When we come back, we will release all of our picks for Week 5 in the NFL. Of course, Circa Sports Million, the Westgate SuperContest, and also Circa Survivor. And we'll also touch on the Monday Nighter, a good one in Jacksonville. The Jaguars, a home dog with the Kansas City Chiefs coming to town off of a win. We'll be back on the other side again, releasing our picks and covering the Monday Nighter as we roll on here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
San Diego is home to Wolfpack Hospitality Restaurants, located in beautiful La Jolla. Stop by Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria on your next trip. Visit Cove House, a top 100 brunch in California, or Shore Rider, serving up margaritas, fish tacos, and a vibe that will make you feel like a regular in no time. For a slice of New York-style pizza with a California twist, it's Dough Mama Pizzeria, where the wings and pizza draw compliments from around the world. Go to wolfpackhospitality.com, and we will look forward to seeing you at Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook. Brady Kannon, Mike Pritchard, and James Salinas with you. The time has come to reveal our selections for Week 5. We will start with the Westgate SuperContest. We're going to take the Panthers, getting a point. We're going to lay 6.5 with the Indianapolis Colts, welcoming the Raiders to town. We're going to take the lay the 3.5 with the Seattle Seahawks, welcoming the Buccaneers to the Pacific Northwest. We'll lay 2.5 with the Chargers, taking on the Washington Commanders. And finally, the Monday Nighter, we'll take the home dog, the Jacksonville Jaguars, getting 3.5. The same picks in Circa Sports Million: Panthers +1, Colts -7, Seattle -3.5, Chargers -2.5, and the Jaguars +3.5. In Circa Survivor, we're going to go with the Cardinals, a home favorite, over the Tennessee Titans. And Sunday Night Football, we're going to take the Buffalo Bills to get it done over their division rival, the New England Patriots. The one game we did not analyze yet, gentlemen, is the Monday Nighter, Kansas City going into Jacksonville. And this is one theory, a trend that historically is very, very strong. And again, I think it's because it manipulates the market via perception. You have a home underdog that won outright in the Kansas City Chiefs, and the following week, now they go into the role of road favorite. The market wants to prop that team up because they won outright, and they look great. They look like the same old Chiefs are back. In my mind, the Jaguars are pretty good, and the Chiefs aren't that great this year. I'll take the 3.5 with the home dog, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, the Jaguars have really been impressive. They got a top 5 defense. When you think about scoring and situationally, now third downs to be desired. They got to settle in with Travis Hunter too, I think, and maybe he's just going to play one side of the ball and just focus. And they could use some help in pass defense. And Hunter can be opportunistic sometimes, attacking the football and covering guys. So if he does settle in, I think offensively, Jacksonville's okay. Cohen's okay. Trevor Lawrence is okay. And the running game is okay. They don't really need the him back of the Heisman Trophy winners. So defensively, though, if he steps up, we know the Chiefs are pass happy. We know that they don't really run the ball. And a guy like Hunter covering in the secondary, helping out in that regard, that can make things difficult on the road for the Chiefs. So I like Jacksonville. They're a young team, and I think there's a lot of tread on the tires there for Kansas City. Yeah, they played a great game at home, but that's what they do. I think a team like the Chiefs, in the elder statesmen that they are, they can kind of not be consistent on the road. So I think there's an opportunity for the Jaguars here catching points, James.
And Jaguars last week winning at San Francisco, defensively, special teams, that's really what won the game for them. So something to build off, a big confidence builder, I think, for this young team. And now with Cohen, I think that's going to be the matchup for me, is you're going to have to make adjustments. Pritchard, you talked about it earlier in the show with looking at second half and looking at these coaches. We know the pedigree of the Chiefs on the sidelines when it comes to Spags and obviously Andy Reid being able to make adjustments in game. That's what's going to be intriguing for me me is, what does that look like for Jacksonville as this game progresses and the adjustments they're going to have to make to be able to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs in this matchup? Lights are on, confident team coming back home, Monday Night Football. Expectations starting to climb for Jacksonville. Let's see it on Monday night. I think it's the number that I like more so than the actual matchup as far as that goes, because I'm a little concerned with the coaching matchup going through 4 quarters, but I do like the 3.5. We've seen how crucial and key the kicking game is for all throughout the league. We saw it last night with the Rams and the kicking again, letting them down. Well, not really loving the Kansas City side when it comes to place kicking and the field goals and the lack thereof. But also here with the hook. And if it was probably a 3, I'd probably say, yeah, this is probably not a game I'd want to play. Taking the hook at home, if it comes down to a field goal game, hopefully we got the better kicker on our side. But ultimately, that hook is what sold me to take the Jacksonville Jaguars at home on Monday night, Brady.
Yeah, I made it 2.5. And again, I think that the market perception is skewed here because it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, this is America's team, the public team, and they're back and they look great. They beat the Ravens. No, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they won the game by 3. That's just fine with us because I think that 3.5 is a big deal here. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars won this one outright. We're on the Panthers, the Colts, the Seahawks, the Chargers, and the Jaguars. In Survivor, we're on the Cardinals and the Bills. Everybody have a great week 5. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back here next week with more of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and the Westgate Las Vegas SuperBook.
Thanks for tuning in to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Don't you just love football? God, what a fun sport.
Subscribe today on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts to receive weekly alerts as soon as the show's available. Good luck with your contest selections.
Pay that man his money.
And we'll talk to you next week.